Welcome to this version of Ed Chats with Matt. I'm Matt Pope with Ether Alliance. As schools are reopening, you might be already welcoming your staff back and students are just around the corner. We know there is so much news and political debate about what that should look like. Whether schools should be virtual or in person or a hybrid of both. Those are decisions that we quite frankly can't control as school leaders. But what we can do when we welcome staff back and students and start engaging with families is we can focus on a few things that we can control, things that we can do to start the school year with a bang, to wrap all of our communication and focus on. And that is around safety, culture, and instruction. So today I'm going to dig into those three areas of what you can control as a school leader. So first, let's talk about safety. This is physical safety, but it's also our health and our mental safety as this transition and re-entry back into school from the summer break. Now, we all know we had an emergency in March where we shut down and closed school buildings and school went remote and virtual. This school year, you may be starting partially virtual and transition into in-person, or you might be doing both. It looks different based off of your local guidance and communities. But what we do know are there are some people that are already going back into the building. So we need to have plans for physical safety, for the health safety of all of our staff, but also mental health. Because through all the noise and confusion with guidance, there's built up anger, anxieties, and just quite frankly, a lot of stress around what school's going to look like and how teachers and other staff and families and students are going to manage all the different things that are happening over the next few months. So as a school leader, make sure you're planning for and providing supports for physical safety to keep everyone healthy, but also how are we going to keep them mentally safe and healthy as we begin to open our schools and transition into whatever modality it may look like for your school community. Second is culture. As we re-enter back into school and what it looks like for 2021, we need to think about how are we systematically re-engaging our staff, our students, and our families back into our school community? How are we providing identity and pride and relationships while we still have to practice physical distancing, or if we're all in virtual to begin the year? So some ways to think about that is what kind of chants are we providing in our virtual world where it's a call and response, or what kind of hand signal do we all use in our virtual school or in person to identify connection and identity with our school community. So as we think about staff coming back into the building or into your school community and students, we should continuously be thinking about how do we build culture through re-entry. That may look like for students having a re-entry camp where the first week of school, all we focus on is connections before actual grade level content. So we build in curriculum and lessons on how to be a student in your school community, whether it's virtual or in person, how to set goals, how to monitor your own learning, how to overcome stress and anxiety with all the things that are happening in this world. That would be important for students and for staff as you plan that reentry curriculum. So focus on culture because it is going to be critical and you can't control that. It's just going to may look different based off of what modality you're starting with both your students and your staff. And the third thing we can control is instruction. Now, back in March, April, and May, we had emergency remote learning, and we can all admit we can do better than what instruction looked like during that time. So as you know what modality you're planning for, you can plan for the best high quality instruction that we can provide for every student in those modalities. So if a student is virtual, they should have the same quality of instruction as if they were in person. Now there's the barriers and the challenges with technology, resources, and connectivity, but many schools are working really hard at providing students with technology devices, hotspots, and connectivity through community hubs. But we must also plan for quality instruction if it is virtual or in person or hybrid of both. Some tips we would provide is focus on teaching less standards really well. Rather than trying to go through and teach everything, let's pick a few essential standards that we want to go deep on and where we teach kids the standard, but then also give them meaningful, engaging lessons where they apply and demonstrate their understanding of that standard. As well, as a school leader, really narrow down the list of software and programs and functions you want your staff using so they can get really good at a few different programs rather than trying a million and not getting good at any. Because if they're not successful with it, your students probably aren't going to be successful within that format as well. So you build teacher capacity through an actual narrowed list of a few set specific strategies or programs that you want to use to effectively instruct your students. So in closing, there's many challenges to the beginning of this school year. Every school year to start is pretty darn challenging. But this one, we're having to rethink everything, and that's okay because you can control a few of those things. You can control making sure your students, staff, and families are safe, that you build culture and connection and community, and you ensure the highest quality of instruction is delivered to every child in whatever modality. Those are the things we can control as school leaders. Best of luck. It's an exciting and crazy time of our lives, but what an opportunity to transform everything we do. Thank you for watching. Don't hesitate to reach out and share your stories and share how you've taken these tips and used them in your school communities. We'll see you next time.